Call this meeting to order. This is a continuation from yesterday's emergency meeting, and it's to discuss the final draft of the ordinance dealing with closure of the beach. First, ask Ms. Do I? Okay, I won't move. Okay, I want to ask Holly Holt to come forward to present any updates or information she wishes to pass on to this time. Holly, I would probably recommend you use that other one.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to tell you that one works.
Good morning. Holly Holt, Department of Health, Walton County. As of present, there has been no change in our statistics that I talked about yesterday. We still have the one confirmed case in our county from a non-Florida resident. I do want to give you an update for Florida. This morning, the information I have received, there has been 357 confirmed cases in Florida residents, 30 cases in non-Florida residents, which give us a total of 387 total cases statewide in Florida. So numbers are increasing.
Those yesterday or this morning? What was yesterday's number? Wait.
It was right at 300 yesterday, I believe. So really, no new information from me from anything different that I mentioned yesterday in the meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you, Holly. If you will stand by in case something comes up. Ms. Sid, I'd like you to go ahead and proffer the ordinance.
We do have a draft of the ordinance. It's available for members of the public, and we will post that on the website as soon as possible. But for those of you who don't have a draft, I want to just briefly kind of explain what's in the ordinance. There's several whereas clauses that explain the emergency that we're facing, and that we are passing this emergency ordinance under the authority given to us by the Florida statutes. The pertinent parts that matter to everyone can be found on page 2, the first 2 paragraphs. So first of all, it reads, all beaches within Walton County, Florida are temporarily closed to the public, and it shall be unlawful for members of the public to access the beaches within Walton County. So I want to acknowledge that the ordinance, as it's written, applies to members of the public. It doesn't apply to beachfront property. Frankly, just to be completely transparent with everyone, we don't really have the authority to do that. We don't have the authority to keep beachfront property owners from using their private property. If this were a hurricane or something we were used to dealing with and it moved through quickly, it would be a different matter. But this is something none of us have experience with, and we don't know how long it's going to take necessarily. I do have in here that the ordinance will be effective for 30 days. That periodically. So that being said, that we cannot keep beachfront property owners from their private property, and I'm trying to be upfront with everyone about that because I don't want there to be confusion because it will seem unfair to a lot of people, and I understand that. But that being said, if there's beachfront property owners out there who plan on renting their houses and inviting tourists necessarily stop that, but that's on them. That's on their conscience for them to do something like that. So what we're doing in this ordinance is taking all the steps we possibly can to protect the public, and we just ask that everybody else do the same.
Thank you, Sid. Sheriff Atkinson, could you come forward, please? Sheriff, I know you've had a copy of this. You had the opportunity to look at it, and it falls back upon you as a chief law enforcement officer. So, but please give us your thoughts and way you're going to approach it.
I can hear you.
Now, we got it. So as I said yesterday, I think the reality of this is you have to approach this as a customer service driven operation, where you're trying to educate the public, where our deputies and in conjunction with additional staff from the Board of County Commissioners, our job here is voluntary compliance. That's what we're trying to get, being cognizant of people that have come down here. We're not hauling people off, and quite frankly, we're trying to keep people out of jail. So the reality of it is that's what we'll start as soon as if this is the decision you choose to make, then we will start trying to educate the public. We will immediately begin, because obviously any reduction is important. And so as some of you I've told individually, for those of you not aware, Walton County has a number of cases currently under investigation, not confirmed COVID cases, but a handful that are under investigation, more so than any surrounding county, and that's important to understand. More so than any surrounding county, up to counties including populations of almost 350,000 people. So it is important to understand what is actually going on here.
All right. Any questions from the board for the sheriff? Thank you, sir. If you don't mind hanging just a little bit. Yesterday we took a vote concerning this action today. Since the ordinance has just been brought forward, I'm going to open it up for public comment. If there's anybody who wishes to speak in regards to the ordinance, if you will, when you come forward, identify yourself to the clerk, spell your last name. I see one hand come up. Come on up, sir.
My name's Alex Metz, M-E-T-Z. I own Sunny Sands Beach Service. I operate in Destin and Walton County. I'm a lifelong resident. It does not apply, from my understanding, to guests or owners of private property.
That's right, but as I said, if a beachfront property owner invites crowds onto their property, that's something that they're going to have to be responsible for.
And let me first say I fully support closing all the beaches, but it's kind of like fixing a plumbing leak without turning off the water. Until we control the short-term rentals, closing the beaches is really hard. My question is for the sheriff, if they are closing the beach to the public, will the sheriff be instructed to enforce private property? So if you are next to a public access, a homeowner, will the sheriff move the spring breakers now off their property if the owner asks?
I mean, that's obviously a question for the sheriff. This is an emergency situation. I don't think that any of us can really give clear guidance about how this is going to be implemented. We're dealing with an emergency.
I agree, and if the homeowners next to the public property want to kick the crowd off of their beach now, will the sheriff, in the past has not, but now will the sheriff move the crowds off?
They will not be allowed to come on the public beach. Is that what you're asking?
Will the public be allowed, will the sheriffs be allowed to take the public off the private beach?
I'm not going to answer for the sheriff, but as he's here, if he heard it, he wants to make a comment, that'd be fine.
I'm just looking for a little guidance for our property owners on what they can do.
Well,
Yes.
If uninvited guests come over on private property, will they be removed? They are always removed. This is not something new. If the private property owner does not want them on their beach, that's a code violation. For somebody, that's what we're fighting in court for now. So no, they still don't have a right to go on private property as of now. We believe customarily they do, but until the court has decided, am I saying this right, Sid?
No.
Yeah, well, you straighten me out then. But, I mean, no, the public can't wander over they're being told not to go on the beach.
Short answer, you've effectively, if you take this action, yes, you've effectively said there is no public access to the beaches in Walton County at any level, be that on private property or in a state park or what is customarily used, right? What they are saying is it does not apply to a private property owner, because that's a Fourth Amendment issue about seizure and taking of property. So essentially, if, and again, these are the counsel is here for this, and a lot of attorneys already gearing up to sue me. The reality of it is that this will apply to any member of the public that is not a landowner on there, on the beachfront. Does that make sense? I mean, that is the decision of an individual property owner, and so that's not something we can control.
Just clarifying.
Yeah.
People off the beaches and our occupancy doesn't go down. In my opinion, we're driving them into common areas. Again, I support closing everything, but maybe I was in South Walton Walmart yesterday, and people are still gearing up for barbecues, spring break house parties. Maybe suggesting a retailer is opening an hour early for elderly and residents. I have a 3- and a 4-year-old, and I'm fighting for canned food. But maybe for residents as well, if we're not going to shut down short-term rentals, at least allow us to still survive.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir, come forward. Check that to see if it's on.
Hello, there we go. Hello, Commissioners. My name is Yusuf Haddad. I'm here with my friends and colleagues. Haddad, and I'm here with Ryan Millay and Eric Massingle. We are just small business owners. I know you guys have already made your decision, it seems. I didn't know about this until yesterday evening that you've made your decision. I just wanted to make a statement. I just wanted to make a statement specifically how dealing with immunocompromisation from just medications, but I've taken personal responsibility, also being around my mother a lot who has high blood pressure, 67, just to keep myself out of the public for her health. We're taking care of ourselves and what we need to do in this regard, but having this pushed on us and our businesses is going to have an effect on us. And
So right now, the ordinance becomes, if the commissioners adopt it today, it would become effective immediately and it would be effective for 30 days. But there is the possibility, because we're under a local state of emergency and this was adopted under emergency provisions, that the board could review it periodically even before that 30 days and rescind it if there's changed circumstances. And we wouldn't have to follow typical notice procedures. It could be rescinded relatively quickly if there is a change in circumstances that necessitates that.
I just want to say, all of us, we still have bookings to fill in April. I was getting about 15 inquiries a day earlier this week. It's just shut down to 0. I got one yesterday for the summer, another one this morning for the summer. No one's interested in traveling. This is going to have a deep effect on my family. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand, sir, that it has an effect on you and others, but it's not just strictly defined to Walton County. The entire country is suffering financially, and businesses are suffering too. And the intent is to try and keep this thing from getting blown out like it was in China and other locations in the world. And so we empathize with you. We understand what you're going through as this thing moves on. We are sitting here under this emergency meeting, and the way it's set up, we're going to address next Tuesday at our regular board meeting, any changes in what's taking place out here in the county or the state as a whole. And then it's my intent as the chair to keep this emergency declaration in effect until we get something that shows that we've peaked and going down. But I've said multiple times, this is a very fluid situation that's taking place, and we will listen to our DOH counterparts and any other state agency. And if we need to meet again, that's why I've asked the board to always keep in contact or be available. So we may have another meeting tomorrow afternoon. We just don't know because this thing happens so fast. But we do empathize with you. We understand that what you're going through, and we're doing these actions based upon the welfare and the safety of this the county, the people, and the visitors alike. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ann Hunter. I own an art gallery in Seaside, Florida. And I'm acquainted with a local nurse practitioner who's a doctor of nurse practitioning, Dr. Hillary Glenn, who began contacting me about 6 weeks ago, very concerned about what was heading to our county. And after hearing Holly Holt and also being on a call with a infectious disease consultant through Seaside, who they had hired to help make them their decision, I brought her reports to share with y'all today. And my message to you is thank you. Our community can instill the confidence in you to make the decisions that need to be made, both now and the ones that are coming after. So that's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, Barbara.
Does this work? Okay, I can use this plastic bag. Commissioner Chapman, since this is an emergency meeting, I drove from South Walton at the risk in a room of more than 10 people. I'm talking into a microphone with a plastic bag. May I ask for more than 3 minutes to speak? This is an emergency meeting. I have a lot to say and a lot from an infectious disease doc that I also talked to this morning. May I please have more than 3 minutes?
I'll give you 4.
May I please have a little bit more than that?
Barbara,
all right, I'll talk. This is a third emergency meeting, all right? Because of bad audio, our citizens could not hear from the past 2 emergency meetings. We should have a phone here where you can hear from other citizens. I had to be present here today. I wanted you to hear from a citizen beside the Chamber of Commerce, besides Ms. Duncan from AJ's, and besides the small business people. I applaud Ms. Hunter for having an infectious disease doctor information. I was on the phone this morning with another infectious disease doctor, and to reiterate what our Department of Health is saying, there's also 967 cases in Florida that are just being monitored. This is deadlier than the flu. We have Dr. Fauci. I have that information. Anyone who's listening right now who thinks this is just the flu, go to the website, see what Dr. Fauci is saying. It's worldwide. It's 2 to 3%. We don't need to hear from our businesses. They are going to be taken care of with small business loans. Talk to Jeff from our emergency management. Trump has already said $1 trillion. The visitors come to the beach, but we need to emphasize we don't have the beds. Dr. Smiley, she's the one who found the case in Santa Rosa Beach. And she also said, a day late, $1 short. This is a private clinic that found a woman who does not live here in Walton County, and I'm assuming this woman is probably in her own hospital. 15 to 20%, she says, who test positive land in the hospital. Anderson Cooper interviewed her on CNN. Google that. Everyone who's watching me right now, go to CNN, Anderson Cooper, Dr. Christine Smiley. And Anderson Cooper said, it's like a Jaws analogy. Maybe the shark will go away. Well, guess what? The shark is not going away. We need to pass this ordinance 100%. 5 commissioners. And it says all beaches within Walton County. I understand customary use, that's fine. But by saying to our tourists, all beaches within Walton County is it's the perception that all beaches are closed. We need that perception. Our owners of rental property are giving refunds. They are rescheduling. The rest of the world is rescheduling. And why are they doing that? Because it's a pandemic. Here's a scenario I want you just to think about. This scenario is, suppose this woman was in a condo. Well, Ms. Holt has to do a detective work to find out who else is in there. Well, that whole condo can be quarantined. We can almost be quarantined in South Walton. Commissioner Chapman, you said you can't stop people from coming in. I'm afraid we can't stop the people from going out if it's that bad. So again, I want to see a vote of 5. We're talking about pro-business. One of the commissioners says, I'm pro-business, I'm pro-business. Well, I want you to be pro-life. I want you to be pro-life for the restaurant workers. I want you to be pro-life for the businesses. I want you to be pro-life for the housekeepers. I want you to be pro-life for the cooks. Pro-life for shopkeepers and for the locals who live here. Could you imagine a house cleaner? They can't possibly go in and clean a house and turn it around the next moment. They can't do that. And by you closing the beaches gives a great message. All right, and just for example, the COVID-19 from New England Journal of Medicine, and we really don't have a lot of experts that are standing up here, but I'm quoting from something. COVID-19 exists 3 hours in the air, 4 hours on copper surfaces, 24 hours on cardboard, and 2 to 3 days on plastic and stainless steel. This is a fact. Our restrooms on the regional accesses need to be closed. You don't have the staff. All right, let me end. Commissioner Chapman, the message is going to be Walton County is pro-life. Walton County cares. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Board, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I make a motion, we approve the ordinance.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is a national, state, and local emergency. Why in the world can't we say that all of them are closed, period? I do not like, we're basically saying to the people who rent on the north side of 38 that their folks can't come, but you're leaving the door wide open for people to come that live on that. And I don't understand why in an emergency we can't say it's all done and be done with it. I have a real problem with that.
So Commissioner Gladwell, I also have a real problem with that. I've spent the last 5 years trying to make sure that the public can use the beach as they always have used the beach. I feel like I've spent the last 2 years of my life stuffing envelopes and looking at spreadsheets, and I've spent every weekend pretty much doing that. This is really hard, and I wouldn't be doing this lightly. I feel like this is the most that we can do. If this were a hurricane that was going to move through in 48 hours, I don't think there's any question we could close the beach to everyone. We're talking about doing it for 30 days, and I just don't feel like we have that authority. You know, the beach closures across the whole state, they're closing public beaches, so we're not alone in this. And if things change, we can always reevaluate it. If this isn't effective, we can decide if we need to take further measures. But right now, I feel like this is the most we can do to combat the problem.
I wasn't blaming you. I just don't like the situation.
Well, I can assure you, I don't think anybody on this board likes that situation. But what we can do, what we want to do, and what we can legally do are two different things. If it was left up to me, and I had the legal authority to do it, I would vote to close all 26 miles. But we can't. And that's from all the legal advice we've been getting. We do what we have to do, and I'm not even sure the governor can do that, but if he can, I hope he does. But as our authority, it ends on the public beaches only. That's what every county that has closed beaches have done. They've closed the public beaches.
Sydney, who has the right to close the parks? Should we get the state parks?
So for the state parks, for Topsail, Deer Lake, all those areas, that's governed by ultimately the governor through the state agencies. But we do know, and we have been in contact with the state parks to make sure that we're coordinating with them. We're lucky because Jason Cutchaw, who's one of our staff members at TDC, has close contacts with the state, and they've been working in conjunction with them ever since yesterday. So we're making sure that whatever happens, that we have a coordinated response with the state parks, but we don't have the authority to close the state parks.
Any other comments from the board? Sure, if you use that mic, please.
Just in conversation with the governor yesterday, for some of you that were not privy to that conversation, that question came up, that what happens if Walton County takes this action, and what the governor says, and I think several of you have heard that, that were sitting there as well, that they would try to follow suit locally, and so they were trying to leave this to local authorities, but as he said, reach out to your state parks, and I believe the intention there is to follow suit across the board.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
How often will this be revisited, this closure, if we decide to close it?
So what I would suggest that we do, we are going to have periodic meetings and possibly emergency meetings in the future. We could, put this on each of those agendas for review until the emergency is lifted.
As I said earlier, it's my intent to always have the availability of this board to meet if situation changes and to review whatever we may have in place as to whether it's appropriate to continue it or reduce it or do away with it. So, yes, Holly.
I'll be very diligent in making sure that the information about PUIs that we have, if they become actual cases, that I am communicating that with you all.
Thank you.
That can help with your decision, I would think.
It will. Okay, any other questions from the board? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
We are adjourned.
Let the record show.